They're back.
It's the fastest hour on the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary, quite incredible, quite unlike anything you may have experienced in your life.
It's time for Top Spur TV. With your host, Douglas Bruce and Big Mike Fisher. Fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Top Spur.
Hey guys, and welcome into the all-new Top Spur. It seems a little unusual saying that after 7 months of being off, but this is the first episode of the all-new Top Spur. Guys, I'm Douglas Bruce, along with my co-host and wingman extraordinaire, Big Mike Fisher. Big Mike, been a long time, buddy. How the hell are you?
Doing great, man. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a while. It took a little bit there to get that back. Yeah. You know, we do a couple of other podcasts and a couple other shows and a lot going on. And of course, we're doing the other show on YouTube, Bruce and Big Mike Take on the World. And there on the screen, you can see the address if you want to see that. But this is the all-new Top Spur. We're coming back by popular demand. You know, we've gotten so many messages and emails and stuff with people wanting to see the show again, and we just decided, hey, you know what, we can't come back like we were live every week. We just don't have that kind of time left, but we are going to try and get in one or two of these a month along the way as we're filming the other stuff. And
I think that's good too, because we can focus on the real nuts and bolts of things instead of having to, and we can do it shorter, I think, a little bit shorter, and have just compact, need to know information. I thought before, well, hell, we've covered everything. What could we possibly talk about new? And then I got to thinking, a lot of that stuff we covered 5 years ago. Yeah. So a lot of the people that are watching us today weren't watching the show, or things change, man. I mean, hell, the way I'm doing stuff. I mean, we're going to talk.
We evolve, yeah.
Even me, I evolved. I haven't had electricity at my farm since the typhoon 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago. We had a typhoon, and I'm doing great. I hen hatch. So we evolved, man. I would have never thought about hen hatching back then. So if things like at my farm change, I can only imagine back in the States with technology, things change quick.
We're going to talk about all that. Guys, I'd like for you to, if you'll hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're here on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, be sure and share the show. We're going to be doing one of these every little bit. Try and get in maybe a couple a month, and we just got so many requests to come back and do it, and people were missing us, and when you do it for a long time like that, the audience kind of gets quiet, and we didn't know we had that many people watching or following us or whatever, and of course, there's been a lot going on. There's a lot of, there's other shows out there, but I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I don't think anybody does it quite the way you and I do. So
we have a good rapport. I've always said that. That's why I think you and I can talk about anything, really, and that's why the other show's done good also.
Yeah, the other show's doing great.
But when it comes to chicken, that's our bread and butter.
Yeah,
that's what we. Even me, I was at my farm yesterday, and I was looking forward to what we're going to talk about today. I still love roosters. It's my thing.
Yeah, me too. And it's not
unfortunately, I wish I never got involved.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We were driving home in front. They said, "Mike, look at that Toyota Land Cruiser. That's nice." I said, "Yeah, it's about 5 million stock, base model." And he said, "Maybe how much 1 month?" And I said, if I didn't have my farm,
one month of feed, I can make the payment. Right, I can make the payment if
I could. I mean, no doubt about it. I said if I didn't have my farm, I could be driving a Land Cruiser, no problem.
Yeah.
With the pension I have, but we all have to sacrifice some way, right? Just I hope my wife doesn't watch this show.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. It's been since, I guess it was August of 2023 We did our last show.
24.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 2024. I'm sorry.
Like, wow, has it been that long?
Misquoted. No, I'm sorry, misquoted. I'm still stuck that it's 2024 now, you know. Of course, I'm also still stuck that I'm 35, and that ain't true either. So,
I try, old man.
yeah. My body reminds me of that every morning when I wake up. It's like, no, you're not 35.
So, since August.
It's been about 7 months, nearly 7 months.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to Thailand next month. You
Yeah.
know, my mom was here in October, and my kids are like, Dad, we're going to Thailand soon, right? And I was like, God, time is flying, man.
Last year just blew by. It went by so fast. We were trying to figure out the other day where we were last January, last New Year's, because we were here this past New Year's, but the year before that we were trying to figure out where we were.
Sure.
You know, I didn't know. We moved so much. Hell, I don't even.
Well, I've been in the same house since 2021, right after the pandemic. We moved into our new house, and I think that's the longest I've ever lived in one house.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the house in Liluan, we lived in that a while, but I lived in 3 houses in that subdivision. You know, so in the subdivision I was there a while, but as far as houses go,
I think 3 years is the longest I can ever remember living in any one house. That seemed like a lifetime. You know, that's when I guess that's when Desi was a baby before he started in school. But it's been, you know,
it's a fast ride.
My dad always said we're creek gypsies. We just move up and down the creek. You know, it's just you know. Dad always was his.
I'd be like that too if it wasn't for my wife and her sister. I always say I got both of them yelling at me when I was moving out of the farm last time. They were like, "We're not moving again." Then the other one comes up, "We're not moving again."
Yeah, Filipinos aren't used to that moving all the time
They don't
thing.
move,
You know,
man.
of course, I was raised up, piss on the fire and whistle for the dog. That was my dad's mentality.
Unbox stuff, man. I know where it's at.
Mom's like,
Still in the box.
the pictures are still. That pictures never made it up on the wall. We carried those around in boxes from place to place.
Damn right.
Never put them up. No, I was raised like that, so it's hard for me to, 6 months or a year, being somewhere in one place more than one lease term is almost. Is almost impossible. But hey, guys, we got a good show for you. We're going to be talking about what's new, what's going on new with me and Big Mike. A lot of stuff has changed since the last time we did a Top Spur, and absolutely thrilled to be back doing the show again.
Yeah, it's kind of therapeutic.
Yeah, reconnecting with the audience and all of our friends. Like I said, we sure miss them. Hopefully some of them missed us, and we enjoy doing the show.
Ray will be glad
our buddy Ray, our buddy Corey Wright, Lance Yarborough, quite a few. If I don't get pissed if I didn't say your name. I'm just, my memory's not as good as it should be. So, but we missed all of you guys. There's a lot of people that we. What was the couple's name? There was. Tina and her husband, can't remember her husband's name. There was a couple of couples that played the Alan and Tina Harvey, I think. A couple of couples that used to play the Faker Foul game with us. We always enjoyed that. But let's talk a little bit, Mike, before we jump to a commercial break. Let's talk about what's new for you? What's going on in your life? You were telling me a little bit when you sat down here and we started talking. Guys, by the way, we are filming. You can. This is not on the farm. This is we're poolside here.
Big time now.
Yeah.
We uptown rednecks.
Yeah. I left Little Cane Creek, or Stinking Creek in Jellicoe, Tennessee, and now we're in the big time. We're at Grand Residences in Cebu City, sitting poolside.
This is Bruce's luxury condo here, man.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. This place has a restaurant up on top and everything.
Bar up on the roof, up on the 40th floor. But if I look out my balcony that way or that way, either one, I can see roosters side. They wake me up every morning about 4:30, 5 o'clock. The roosters are crowing.
Yeah.
So even though we're downtown in the city here in the Philippines, roosters are acceptable.
Sure.
Downtown. You see them tied out on the sidewalks
I
here.
saw one on the boat when took my buddy to Bohol a couple weeks ago.
Rooster
I heard
on the
a
boat.
rooster crow, and I look, and there's one sitting up on this boat that's moored up there to the pier.
It happens. Big Mike, you were telling me about making some changes at your farm and what you're going to be doing this year. Tell us a little bit about it.
But yeah, I took my brother-in-law up there yesterday. I have a bunch of roosters, man, and I kind of took a little hiatus. I just kind of, put things on the back burner with kids in school and everything, and did some restructuring, and we've been breeding now, not big batches, man, just small batches, and I'm going to do that every month. I think I'm just going to hatch out, because our weather is the same here year-round. It might rain more one month, but you can't really predict it. So we're just going to do small batches, hatch a few out every month, and I'm just going to fight like 1 or 2 derbies every month. And Florente picked out some 7 yesterday. He brought down 7 roosters. He wanted to bring more, but he had some of his friends' roosters at his place that are going to get them out this week, and maybe we'll bring down around 10, and that way he can start to get them ready, and we'll start fighting some derbies like the old days, man. Me and Florente back at it,
That's cool.
I think he's wanting to go bigger than what I want, because he was like saying, Mike, you should put more hens in your brood pens, because I only had 2 with each rooster, and I don't ever want to be at 1,000 head again.
I know what you mean.
I don't live on the farm anymore. Driving there every day is not practical. I live 22 kilometers from my farm up the mountain, which isn't, it does, it's only 10 miles if you break it down, 12 miles, but they drive slow here. Our speed limit is slow.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a thinking drive. You cannot.
No, you can't. There's no cruise control here. There's no relax on no interstate.
And
Nothing
how do
like
I explain that to people? A thinking drive.
It's
motorcycles.
It's like
coming in and out.
It's like a demolition derby, driving in a demolition derby instead of.
I mean, it honestly is. And when I get home, I'm just slap wore out.
Yeah,
And I go to bed and I made it.
Yeah.
And one of our friends.
And you're still shaking from the drive.
Yeah,
you can feel the vibrating of the the vehicle.
I have a good crew up there. I mean, I had 15 baby goats in a week and a half. So I've got a lot of, and my goats look so good. They're full and healthy. So things are looking good at the farm. And I think I'm in a good spot now where I can start to fight. 1 or 2 a month. Some 3 cocks and some 4 cocks here, and then I Florente was talking about raising stags to fight in stag derbies. I don't know that I want to do that.
Yeah.
I just don't. There's big prize money again. The prize money is back up, but to fight stags, you have to hatch you have to have 100. You know what I mean? That's the.
And you
number.
have to hatch at a certain time.
Yeah,
and all
at a certain
that.
time. You have to have. And when I say 100, I'm talking 100 stags. And I just don't know that I want to have facilities.
That's safely with what you lose and all of that. That's at least 300 chicks.
Yeah,
that's
right.
at least a 300 chick.
That's right.
To get 100 stags.
That's right. And I don't want to have the facilities. I don't want to maintain facilities to have that many.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these. I don't bet. I just like to see my roosters fight. So when I go, I just want to, bet them. What's the minimum? 1,000. Okay, I'll bet 1,000 for $20. And we fight. If we win, we win. Great. Everybody's happy. If we lose, we pick up our shit and we go home. But I don't want to invest the time and resources into.
No, I know what you mean. I'm over that myself. That's exactly where I am. After the last farm that I had and all that, I just, I put everything into that and I had a beautiful farm.
Yeah, it was nice.
But just been there, done that. Don't want to do that part of it anymore.
It takes a lot of effort.
Oh,
it does. I mean,
and
we don't, like I said, we don't live on them here. So going there,
well, in the mental effort of trying to make sure everything's right, even when you're not there, and telling someone else that may or may not exactly understand, or may or may not exactly give a damn
Yeah.
whether they do it the way you want it done or
Sure.
not. And then the stress of you come back and they're all sick, or cords broke and a bunch of them are beat up,
Yes.
and you know, the not having to choke the shit out of somebody
Yeah.
factor, you know, is a, you know, is relieving. Not
Sure.
not having to be in that frame of mind,
Oh, yeah.
scared every time you pull up at the gate. Oh
I'm
shit,
envious
what's
of that,
happened?
actually,
Yeah.
I can imagine that. What you just said right there is kind of significant, because you know, it's like I'm torn.
That's how it's different here.
Yeah, I really, I was this close to just saying, because I added up. You know, that's how I know the figures in my head, the money I would have back in my hands if I didn't have these roosters. But somehow, you know, I wasn't born into this. I just started doing it here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't have it. It's not that I identify. I don't have that identity. Like if I stop, people wouldn't freak out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
However, I have grown to really like fighting
That's
roosters. I like it. So you heard about me. What's been going on with you?
Well, you know, since I moved to Cebu, I guess the last time we did the show was when was just after I had moved here. I moved over to IT Park, and then after a couple of months or whatever, we came over here to Grand Residences, which is this place, the pool in the background and all of that stuff. Really like it here. But as far as the rooster business is going, I'm got a new endorser. Black Rooster, well-known company here in the Philippines. It's in all the stores, and
Are they in the States too, or just?
they just got their toes wet in the States just a little bit. That's a lot of why that they were interested in me, is because I've got you and I've got such a strong audience there in the States, and they're interested in getting their products in the States. And they've done a little bit in Mexico, I think, and so, but that's all wide open over there for them, and so they're kind of thinking that me being here, and then having us having an audience there as well. So
We have one or two friends.
yeah, a couple, and probably an enemy or two. You know, we don't hear from them nearly as often, but
They still creep up.
but Black Roosters produces a lot of different products, high performance products, things for conditioning, and quite a few different genres of Gamefowl they're producing, stuff for. But I'll be telling you a lot more of that as we go along with the show. But I got a brand new supplement coming out. Of course, haven't been involved in Rapido since July of last year, and not involved in it at all. Either U.S. or here in the Philippines, either one. But got a new supplement coming out. It's everything that we've done wrong along the way is a learning experience, and so we've learned a lot about what you don't want to do. It may work good in the performance side of it, but then there may be some other issues that come up, and so we put a lot of time and effort into this one, and we put a lot of research into it. And so we feel like we fixed all of the problems that we saw before with other products that we worked with. And so it's so new, we haven't even nailed down the name yet, but you'll be seeing it probably second quarter of this year. So in a month or two, you'll be seeing it it'll be here in the Philippines first on store shelves, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But a new supplement, we're focusing, we're coming out in phases with it. It's actually multiple products, but the first phase that we're going to come out with is growing baby chicks. That's what we're going to be doing the conditioning stuff along with that at the same time, but our big focus is on baby chicks, and that's a brand new supplement. You guys will be seeing it soon, advertised here and other places. Black Roosters they're in like most of the aggregate stores here in the Philippines, located thousands of locations.
I've seen their products.
Yeah, they're everywhere. So Pacifica, I think, is their number one client. So So, and there's a Pacifica store in practically every town in the Philippines. So there's that, and then I got a new book coming out. It should be out next week, actually. Fowl Fixes. It's the and I did not do this intentionally. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, that cracks me up. You know, there was Perfect Point, then Breeding Basics, then Fowl Fixes. It's like I got this obsession with you know, both words starting with whatever letter, you know, PP, BB, FF, and history of the Gamefowl, that just spells hog. So I don't know if that means anything or not. It's the HOG, hog. Yeah, but Fowl Fixes is about disease, treatments, vaccinations, some home remedies in there, but there's not really a good guide for that you can look at and say, okay, this looks like this. You know, this or this, and a lot of gamefowl diseases. Of course, this is poultry and gamefowl. We included both poultry and gamefowl both. For those people that are like, you know, got a backyard flock for organic eggs or whatever, you know, or raising their own, you know, chickens in their backyard, occasionally eating one, or just for pets even. But we also, you know, highly focus on the gamefowl side of it. But there's not a lot of gamefowl diseases all look the same.
Oh yeah, you know, when I was trying to diagnose stuff, when me and you first started getting together with stuff, I was having some things go on out there, and I tell you, the symptoms look the same.
Well, you know, and you look at some of the, and we tried to give you some markers to say, okay, this looks like this. Yeah. But if it's, you know, this over here would be something different, and it's like, okay, runny nose, lethargic, fever. I'm like, okay, that's 18 diseases. You know, we've narrowed it down to 18.
Yeah, and especially here. I mean, here it's just crazy with stuff that happens here. But I tell you, one thing I noticed, I was showing Florente some roosters on my farm that I got from Mark down in Allegheny Game Farm, Mark Miranda.
Yeah.
I said, you see, his roosters are all healthy, and I got one of those roosters before the pandemic from him. You know, Blueface. And I told Florente, his roosters never get sick. Look at how good they look. I said, that rooster before the pandemic was a stag, so I got it when it's like 9-10 months. Look at it now. Still, face is so red. I said, you know, I noticed when I went to that guy's farm, no trees.
That
no
helps.
Trees, man.
That keeps down a lot of things, even the birds.
Yep, that's right. You know, that's what brings the Merrick.
Yeah.
You know, Steve
brings a lot of stuff.
Our buddy Steve, I went to his farm where he's put all his imported brood cocks, and I went there and I told him, I said, man, you're gonna have big problems here, buddy, because under these trees, your roosters are gonna have Merrick. Mighty Mike, I will not have Merrick. My roosters will not. And when I touched one, the breast was very thin. And I said, oh, they already do. And you know what? I'll be damned. All those roosters started having. So, trees.
Yeah, and
cut them down.
You know, you from the practical sense and from the American mindset, you know, having that shade is great. You know, but it's not worth the problems that it gives. You know, it's not worth the you know, and the heat factor and all of that. But here in the Philippines, it's not like that in the U.S. Here in the Philippines, you know. It's just not worth the trouble that it brings. There's a lot of.
They have American in the States now.
They do. But it's they don't have the spreading of stuff like they have here, because you don't have near the birds migrating from farm to farm.
Yeah.
Here they go from farm to farm just like they're. You know, it's like a scheduled delivery.
Pigeons, man. Pigeons are the worst.
They'll come here in the mornings and eat. They'll go to your neighbor's farm a mile away in the evenings to eat, and you know, keep a regular schedule. And so you know,
your book's going to school them up on all the.
I really think so. I mean, it took me a long time to write this book. I've been writing segments of it for.
Let me think. When was the first time I heard it? It's long.
Been over a year, you know, that I've been working on. I had done a little bit of it before I ever wrote History of the Gamefowl and Volume 1.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because I knew you were talking about that a long time ago.
I've had it in mind to write for about 10 years. I always loved Mike Strucker's book, backyard flock, and he had a wasn't disease book, but it was kind of hints and what to look for and things, and it wasn't as intense. And of course, we give you all the scientific shit and all that, the names of the vaccines, the names of the treatments, what to use, and brand names and all that stuff. I wanted to make it as user friendly and as thorough as I possibly could. April was a big help in writing this one. She spent a lot of time doing the research and helping write part of it as well. And so there's a whole section in there on, basically it's broke up into 3 sections. There's bacterial, viral, and parasitic. Those are the 3 things that mess up your gamefowl. And everything falls under one of those categories.
Sure.
There's a big section on internal parasites. There's a big section in there on external parasites. And there's a lot of things fall under those categories. And then, we try to, and of course, I always, being me, I always recommend culling. That's the first line of defense. Sure. Is, and I tell people in the book that unless it's that once in a lifetime broodcock or brood hen that you can't live without, it's going to wreck your whole breeding program. You can go to the vet, if you want, but I'm big on a sharp axe.
Sure. And I think that that's why I always say I know how it is in the States. If I was in the States, that's how I definitely have to be like that. Here, we have a little bit of
a little different.
Room.
Yeah. Well, Big Mike, we're going to take a real quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about it's breeding season, or coming up, early season in the States. And of course, they're breeding all the time here. Every day is breeding season here. So when we come back, we'll be talking about your thoughts on breeding and early breeding and some of the ins and outs of that. So guys, we'll be right back with more talk. Guys, welcome back into Top Spur. It feels good to say that, doesn't it, Big Mike? Welcome back into Top Spur.
Break, I said that sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, we said it before, and we're often imitated but never duplicated. There's only one Top Spur.
Now with some good scenery in the back.
Yeah. Now it's Top Spur. Coming to you from paradise.
Poolside.
Yeah, poolside paradise here. There's actually some pretty Filipinas walking right over here, guys. Maybe they'll stroll by in the background here. We'll try to. Yeah, Big Mike will only use his bad-eyed look. Don't use his good eye.
That's my rule.
Yeah. His wife may be watching. That's why he's got that rule. Because I'm fortunate. April doesn't care. She's like, I don't care. Go ahead and look. But. Anyway, guys, Big Mike, thoughts on early breeding. It's February. There's a lot of guys that are already got their brood pens set up. They got the lights and they've got their tarpaulin or their tarps up around the pens, trying to keep them from freezing to death. Some of them it's so cold they're having to catch the egg coming out of the hen's ass.
Yes,
take it in the house before it freezes on the ground. But But what are your thoughts on early breeding? I know you've never bred chickens in the States because you weren't into fowl then, but we've talked about it a lot, and guys will set up with light systems and
Well,
start.
if you have the resources for it, and you can maintain it, then why not? It's
Yeah.
just like me now. This isn't our breeding season here, but I have chicks now, and I've made a few adjustments for that so
Yeah.
that I can do that. Like I tell you, man, when I'm using turkeys, I'm hatching chicken eggs with turkeys because
Nothing wrong with that.
they're big, and I can put more eggs underneath
Yeah,
them,
you can put 30 eggs under a turkey hen.
Yeah, right, man.
Yeah, she's like
But
her own
they
little.
laugh.
She's
Look
like
at
her
them.
own little styrofoam
That's
incubators.
right.
Yeah.
and they'll do it longer.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I have these.
Well, they're a
because
lot hardier than a chicken
I
is, a
have
lot
a-
bigger and more durable.
Yeah, I have a lot of turkeys right now, and the older hens, I'm not really using those hens, the turkeys. I have the younger ones in there. So, why not? And that's another thing, if you're gonna hatch all year, you have to make some adjustments, I guess.
Well, one thing about using turkey hens against as opposed to gamefowl hens, you're not really, when you take chicks away from our gamefowl hen, you break her heart. But when you take them away from, she's like, those are the ugliest chicks. I wish you'd take those.
Right.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, look at those chicks. I don't want to be seen in public with
Come out of
those.
me, dude.
Yeah, that came out. It took after their father's side.
They got a kick out of that, man. He's like, this American, man, what's he doing?
Hey, it worked. Yeah, little. They say that silkies are really, of course, they're small and you can only get, 3 or 4 eggs under them. But they say that silkies make the best mom. Of course, I don't know how good they are for setting, but they make really good moms. Taking care of chicks and that sort of thing. But now you're taking the chicks as soon as they hatch and put them. Yeah, you're not trying to let them.
No, I have breeders. No.
Your roosters, and they'll be gobbling instead of crowing. They'll be.
Really confused.
Yeah, that'll freak their opponent out across the arena.
I don't fit in.
Yeah. The other rooster's standing over there, and it's like, whoa! It's like, I'm not fighting him. He's not even from this farm.
He's a fraud.
He's a fake. He's a turkey. That's hilarious. But I'm not a fan of getting back to early breeding. I used to love it. I used to do the big light setup and all of that. And
What's the advantage or disadvantage? I guess that's what I'm looking
really
at.
was. You have bigger chicks and you have them earlier, but for what?
If you're not going to fight it for 2 years.
Yeah, and it's just not worth for me. Especially living when I was in the U.S. Now here, like you said, you can breed anytime, and it doesn't matter here because the weather doesn't change.
Yeah.
You have a little more of a rainy season, but hell, it rains all the time,
That's right.
every day.
The potential for rain is all the time.
And so you're not dealing with as many factors here. Imagine you live in Indiana or Ohio, and you're trying to hatch eggs in January. Or trying to gather eggs every day, they'll freeze in a nest.
Yeah.
It gets down to single digits or below zero. I lived in that country as a kid. It's just really hard. And then once they do hatch, if you don't have them with the hens, then you got the heat issue of trying to keep heat to them. And if the light goes out at night, you go down there in the morning to a pile of mashed chicks.
That's right.
There's just
They will panic.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of factor in it. To me, it's just not worth it. The advantage you get by getting a 2-month or a 1-month head start, in the end, even if you're fighting stags, you're limited on the age of the stags you can fight. They're going to check them, a nickel stag, a dime stag, the length of the spur and all of that. They're going to check them for age. If you're fighting cocks, a 22-month-old cock versus a 24-month-old cock, and don't make much of a difference. So I understand everybody wants to be first and have the big chicks when everybody else has got little chicks and feel like I used to do it. I used to love it. But as I got older, just like you said, hey, things have changed in 5 years. I just don't recommend it. It's just a lot of work for a little bit of nothing.
That's why I'm not doing stags. Because like Florentes was saying yesterday, Mike, you should do this and because stag fights, the prize is really big right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, with little prize money but big return. But the pressure I would have to put on myself, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't see an advantage. I would rather just let them grow out and fight them 2 or 3 years and be done with it.
Well, you're like I am, and you're at a place where that we're doing this now for fun.
Yeah.
We're not doing it for profit. We're not doing it, you know, you want to get your money back if you can. You want to hope that you can break even, but, and, you know, maybe sell a few or something, but it's not, you know, it's not about winning the big derby or any of that. It's just enjoying what you're doing.
Go put some out there,
You know.
and do it.
Yeah, a lot of guys go at this like, you know, they want to, and I used to be that way too. You know, I want to win the World Slasher Cup, or I want to fight these big derbies, and I want to do all that. And it's, you know, I compare it to playing golf. You know, a lot of guys go off and play golf, and they want to be competitive, and they want to be the next Tiger Woods or whatever. And then some people just want to play golf.
Yeah.
You know, they know they're not ever going to be, you know,
It's like me with
PGA.
bodybuilding. You know, I get up on the stage with these other old guys. I mean, there's, you know, when I go and I compete, it's just to do it, just to say I did it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't want to be the guy that's my whole, you know, looking back, oh, when I was in high school, I was this. You know, if I say I want to do something, I do it. And, you know, I hate failure. You know, I hate failure, you know.
Yeah,
I'm competitive. Sure. But when I enter, but I'm not going to put it all like, you know, it's the, you know, the end all. I have to do it, you know. I just want to do stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You only live once. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and try some things.
Well, at our age, you know, and the things that you're going to do, we need to hurry up and do them. You know, you're not going to be.
The other day, the guy said, if you're 50 years old, you've already lived, you know, more than you have left. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
yeah.
like,
I know.
I'm 54. I'm on the downslide.
Yeah.
But I don't. Okay, my joints feel old, but when I look in the mirror, I don't see old Big Mike. You
Yeah.
know, I still see, you know, young Big Mike.
Yeah, unfortunately, I see my dad when I look in the mirror. When it's like, "Hey, Don Bruce, how are you?" You know, that's great. You know, no, I know what you mean, and yeah, I figure if I've got 12, 15 years left,
Yeah.
I'll be doing good. You know, so and that's a hard pill to swallow when you start thinking about it. You know, but. I just don't think about it. I just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
You were so popular before, you know. If you do this and do that, you. And I said, you know what? I don't want to get caught up in that. You know, putting so much pressure on myself. Like I have 3 kids now. Back then I didn't have kids, or they were still really, really young. You know, now they're old enough to. You know, I don't need to be putting so much pressure on myself. So I'm gonna fight 2 years, 3 years, cock derbies, and that's it. But as far as early hatching and stuff like that, I'm gonna hatch a few every month here. That's what I'm gonna do. Hatch, you know, I'll set brood pens at the beginning of the month. Whatever comes out. Raise them and see what I get, and I'll just keep a nice. So, cause I told Florent, I said, look, He said, Mike, I can only bring this many because I don't have the space right now. And I said, hey, don't pressure yourself. You know, I know Florente wants to fight.
Yeah.
You know, he that's why he was mad with this other guy. He said, I want to fight, but I'm just feeding chickens. So I told him, look, you get these ready, we fight. You go up there, pick out the other ones you want to get ready for the next time, and I'll bring them down. You can have like a rotation going.
Yeah.
You know, you have some in a pre-keep, you have some that are getting ready. We fight once a month, twice a month.
That's good. That's
cool.
good. I'm glad to hear that. When you're getting ready for your brood pens, whether you're doing early breeding or not early breeding, let's start with talking about. A lot of people think that lay pellets or supplements will cause hens to lay, when the reality is it's just the light. The lengthening of the day is what stimulates a hen. A lot of people don't know that there's no supplement, that now you can give them things that'll help them make the eggshell and help them, you know, be healthy and all of that, so that it makes the job of laying the egg, creating the egg easier. But but I get that question a lot from people. It's like, what lay pellets do you give your chickens to make them lay eggs? There, there is no.
Even I know that I'm not using any.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
using the same maintenance feed, but
No.
I throw a little bit of cracked corn in it.
Well-
But do you think it's because we're close to the equator, our time doesn't change? You know what I mean? Like we don't have a longer day.
Yeah, no, and when I had the farm over in Candelaria, I used lights in the morning. I had timers set up. I had all my brood pens all had lights in them. I had timers set up so that every morning about 4 a.m. Because the sun comes up about 5:30, 5:20, 5:30 here. But it's dark by 5:30 in the evenings, or before 6 o'clock. It's dark in the evenings. So I added daylight in the morning simply to get them, and it does work. It does work even here. But we don't.
Extra 2 hours, you think?
Yeah, extra couple of hours in the morning, hour and a half to 2 hours, will cause them to start laying. It did with all of mine, and
I could do that with solar lights.
yeah, yep, you sure
Put
can.
in solar lights.
And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes enough for them to. And what it does
Wake
is
up
it
and get
stimulates. Yep, it stimulates that hormone inside them, start producing the hormone that causes them to start laying eggs. And so
I'm gonna try it. I'll order them tonight.
yeah, it actually works. It actually works. I used it over there, and there wasn't nobody laying nothing, and then and I've done it multiple times over the years. I did early hatching in the U.S. I was hatching chicks out in January. I had eggs. I'd start collecting eggs the last couple of weeks of December, using the lights. And
Interesting. I mean, I know we've talked about this before, but I really didn't give it much mind because I wasn't. But yeah, if I'm gonna hatch at different times of the year, like I am now, throughout the year,
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. See, put some consistency in the time.
try it and see. We'll report back on the show, guys. Let you know how it worked out for Big Mike. Gonna let you feel this one because I know this is something that you preach all the time. Fat cocks and hens. Trying to breed and produce with fat roosters and fat hens.
Can't do it. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing Sorrente said yesterday when he was touching mine. He's like, your guy really, because Janelle's been with me a long time.
Yeah.
And I used to tell him how Florente told me, like feeling it to see if it's soft back there. And he said Janelle's really has the roosters good now. Florente would give me fat hens. He would overfeed them and then hand it to me. And he'd say, okay, you adjust the food to where it would start to get soft. And I would. And I tell you,
To teach you.
yeah, he really, really taught me that. Even in the roosters, a fat rooster will be lazy. He would put a rooster in the scratch box. If it's fat, put him in the scratch box and get him in shape prior to breeding season.
Yeah, I recommend everybody learn how to check gut fat. When I went to Ratliff's, that was the first thing that he taught anybody that come on the farm. That was the first lesson. Was he would take you around and have you feel the roosters and teach you how to check gut fat on them. And even 1 ounce of fat on a rooster can make him not a good producer. Can make him lazy when he don't want to top the hens. That sort of thing.
Because it's not age.
No.
Because I have old roosters out there that are like from Steve. The one from Ace now is old now. And man, they're producing.
No, if they're healthy and they're in their right shape and they're right size and all of that, they'll produce a long time. I saw Ratliff breeding a 17, 18-year-old cock years ago, and he'd bred him every year since he was a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, and makes a big difference. For me, taking fat off a hen or a rooster is, my dad always used to have a saying, you lose weight the same way you stay out of trouble. Keep your damn mouth shut. That's how you lose weight, and that's how you stay out of trouble. And so I'm a big believer in just cutting feed. I don't, I'll cut it.
Yeah, that's how they talk.
Yeah, 1/4. I usually like to in the summertime. I'll cut it in the morning. 1/4 of the morning feed I'll cut. I won't. You can cut it in the or in the summertime. You cut it in the evening. in the wintertime, you don't want to take that evening feed away. You cut it in the morning. If you cut it in the evening, in the wintertime, they might get cold at night because they'll empty out, and then their body's not producing as much heat processing that food. So you want to give them a full feed in the nighttime, but it's a I hear these guys all the time talking about. I saw it the other day, and I actually had to ask the question, talking about tomato juice and Hawaiian punch and all these different things, and I'm like, okay, somebody explain to me why. Why does tomato juice, makes a hell of a Bloody Mary, but tell me how it burns fat? Because if it burnt fat, then every fat girl in America would be drinking tomato juice every. Yeah, I personally, I just, and somebody came on with a attempt at an explanation, and I appreciate him trying to explain it, but I still didn't follow the logic of it. I still don't know how chemically that makes you
Get rid of gut fat.
fat.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that for me, I just know how even a skinny hen, like Florente would say, Mike, this hen, feel the butt. And he would tell me you have to add feed. And when you feel the butt start to get soft, that's when then you'll give that, you can back off a little bit.
yeah.
So I would give extra because skinny ones are just as bad. Skinny
Yeah.
ones are not, they won't lay.
No, you don't want to, because they don't have nothing to
And if
produce
you-
an egg with.
If you let them run out, a lot of times they won't be fat. They'll be kind of
Yeah.
skinny.
That's if it's like, you see women over here and they're super skinny. Some of these Filipinos are like, they look like 11-year-old boys, and I'm like, white skin, and I'm like, somebody give them a sandwich, they ain't got nothing to they ain't got nothing to make nothing with. A skinny hen.
We were going to the market this morning. I looked over and I said, man, somebody needs to feed that girl.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, she's really thin.
Yeah, buy her a sandwich. Yeah, you see that sometimes. Some of these,
Hey,
and they do the glutathione, the whitener, trying to make their skin white and all that.
gotta have them white armpits, right?
Yeah, white kili cream. I should do a endorsement for white underarms because mine are certainly white. But it's
Who knew
funny.
that that's what people like, man,
Yeah.
white underarms. Come on.
I
never thought about it.
You know what? My woman's laying in the sun out there right now. She's black as the tablecloth here, getting darker and darker every day, and because she knows that's what I like. And of course, it's looked down upon here. If you're dark skinned, you're kind of a subclass. They're discriminative against it. But if you'll look around here, especially at this place where there's a lot of Americans, a lot of foreigners, they all got girlfriends that are, some of them that come in here a couple of weeks ago, their girlfriends look like, almost like they're Puerto Rican or African American or a mixed, really, really dark skin. And so,
Interesting.
but I don't like no super skinny, pale chicks, and I don't like no skinny hens,
We like our
pale
girls
faced
to
skinny
eat.
hens.
We like our girls to eat.
Yep. We want our pullets chunky and brown. That's the way a killer's. That's what a pullet's supposed to look like.
I told Pauline about 15 years ago when I first met her, I said, you know what? I said, you're probably the thinnest woman I've ever dated.
Yeah.
I said, so just eat until I tell you to stop. And I still ain't told her to stop.
Yeah.
She's
Well,
like,
she's
"Babe, I'm
really-
getting fat." I'm like, I like it.
She's really fit. She's been going to the gym and stuff. Pauline's looks great. She's really fit. Looks really good. Lastly, Big Mike, because we're gonna make these a little shorter than we were before. Before on the show we go a couple hours. But we're gonna try to keep these between.
This one we went a little bit.
We're a little long on the first one, but it's a welcome back.
Yeah,
It's seven.
we got
So
carried
we had
away.
plenty to talk about 7 months. Saying nothing. So
We're like getting everything
Yep.
off our back.
well, we had to explain where we went and why we went there and all of that. But
What you got?
proven or unproven, what do you think about guys that are putting up, taking a risk? Do you like putting up something that you bred last year and the year before and the year before? Or like a lot of the Filipinos do, they'll put in a new stag with the same hen every twice a year, every breeding.
Well, man, there's something to be said for both ways, because you don't want to end up like, who's that ACO guy that won until his broodcock
Bobby
died?
Bowles, yeah.
Okay, you don't want to end up like that guy, you know. So
He
you
just
wanna
couldn't. He couldn't produce. He couldn't produce an offspring that could reproduce
Yeah.
the fowl. Now there'll be a lot of the secret. Oh, I got the real thing Bobby Bowles guys out there that'll write us letters, but you can save the data on your phone. There may be real Bobby Bowles out there, according to everything I've been told by the old timers that were there. There's not, but there may be real things. There's a bunch of them over here. But the thing about it is nobody's dominating with them the way that Bobby did.
And
So
I think that if you have something that's winning, you got to keep breeding that.
yeah,
But you should also be breeding something else to kind of fill in when that, if you know, you had a storm and that stuff died or got killed, you'd have something in the like me. People always say, "What's your best bloodline?" I always say, "Well, damn, you know, they all win." You know, like
why
Florente
would you keep anything but your best blood?
Florente yesterday said, "Mike, you shouldn't breed off colors anymore because nobody buys off colors." And I said, "That's why I always won with the off colors, because nobody bought them."
Yeah.
You know, my
They were all that was left.
That's right. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I know
man.
you sell all the good
Those
stuff and bought the hunchback
That's
crooked leg.
right. You know, that's right. I said, so what does that tell you?
Yeah, hop across it.
Yeah.
And then one
Fucker couldn't fly.
No.
You had a 2-inch vertical.
he cut that other rooster in half. Everybody's like, what the hell?
That's right. That guy was dancing, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, Mike, Hunchback Farms, guys. Big Mike at Hunchback Farms at gmail.com. You can.
I said, you know, I told him, I said, yeah, I'm not breeding off colors anymore. I said, because I just don't want to have so many bloodlines. But in reality, they won a lot, you know, so maybe it's a not a good thing that I'm not breeding them, you know. But I think if you have something that wins, you keep breeding it, and you should also be looking for your next best thing at the same time.
You know, Ace and I were talking about that the other day, and if you have limited facilities, you know, if you can breed, you know, 50 brood pens, that's great. Then you can afford to experiment some.
That's right.
You do want to be looking for that next thing that you think is going to be a niche, but if I'm winning with something, that's what I want to breed.
Yeah.
You know, I want to put up, you know, the brother and sister to that cock that's producing, and maybe take a chance on experimenting with that. You know,
Sure.
but I see a lot of these guys that have breed something that wins, especially here in the Philippines. They'll breed something that wins, and then they'll swap out either the rooster or the hen, and breed something else. Why?
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
I'll breed them to the legs fall off of them if they're winning.
Sure, and I think that well, breeding is different. Like me, I bred dogs. I bred game dogs, so I didn't have the amount of things take a little bit longer when you're doing dogs. So you don't have here. You can make a mistake and correct it kind of quick.
Yeah.
You know, with roosters, I think so. But yeah, they definitely do things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, people will have they'll fight their brood pack, and then not be able to produce that again, which I think is, you know, travesty. I would never fight.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning into the show. Like I said, both Mike and I have missed doing Top Spur. We're so enthusiastic about it. It's, you know, we're doing other stuff, but this is really where our heart is with the Top Spur audience and the folks that have been along. Really excited to see the feedback we get. Guys, you can hit us up in the comments below, or you can email us at bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. bruceandbigmike@gmail.com. We'll put that down on the screen for you so you can see it. If there's a subject you want to hear us talk about, or if you just got a comment, you want to say something to us about what you think about us coming back and doing this, or something we might have talked about during the show, please by all means message us. We'll read it and try to try to include it in what we're doing next time. We're gonna do another one of these here shortly. Try to have another one out. Try to get one out about every 2 weeks or something like that. That's about as much as we can pack right now, Big Mike, with our schedules like they are. When we actually get retired and we're rich and famous, then maybe we can do, I'd love to do another live one. These are always fun. The Top Spur audience was always great and always so good to us. Guys, go by www.topspur.tv. We'll be putting the episode up on there. You'll also be able to see it on YouTube, on the new YouTube channel. I'll be releasing that information on Facebook. You'll be able to see this on Facebook as well, on the Top Spur group. So we'll be in a lot of places here in the beginning putting this show on. Eventually we'll just go probably to our website and to YouTube. But there'll be a lot of locations where you'll be able to see these, and hope that you guys like and subscribe here on YouTube, so that you can and hit the notification bell so you can get the new ones when they come out. It'll notify you that you got and we'll try to do another one, and we'll try to fit in once in a while
keep it fresh.
Yeah,
we'll keep it fresh.
Fit in some of the games we used to play, before, and want to hear from the audience. Please, like I said, messages, comment. We'll be glad to talk to you. Guys, go by Top Spur and pick up a book or a video stream. We're no longer selling DVDs, but you can get a book or a stream. Look for the new book, Foul Fixes. I tell you what, I wish I'd have had this book 20 years ago or 30 years ago when I was raising Gamefowl so heavily. It would have been a big help to me, and I think it can be a big help to you. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Big Mike, I'll give you the final word, brother.
All right, it's good seeing you guys again. We'll see you next time. Take care.